Alright everybody, so we're going to be talking about the lab, the special senses lab. And I'm going to draw some stuff, answering certain questions. So we did that little lab with the flavor testing. We're not going to do anything about this one. Okay, just this. Okay, potential sources, sensory receptors in the skin. The 2-point discrimination test. We did that one too. So you're gonna just have this questions answered. So now we go on to hearing. And here let's do some labeling. Okay. So we've got an ear. Okay, we've got an ear here. I'm gonna make it larger. Okay. So let me see if I can move. Yeah, I can do this. So pinna or auricle. Okay. This is this one. Okay, auricle, right? External auditory canal is right here. So that tube here. Tympanic membrane can be seen here, so that's the tympanic membrane. I'm going to be erasing ink from time to time. Malleus, incus, and stapes. So these are 3 auditory ossicles here. This is malleus. It is attached. This is malleus attached to the tympanic membrane. This is incus. This is stapes. Oval window you can't really see. Oval window is located right under here, under the stapes. Vestibule, semicircular canals, and cochlea. So this is cochlea. In between them is vestibule, and these are semicircular canals. This is the vestibulocochlear nerve, and this is an auditory tube. So when we answer questions here, okay, so the structures, if that's the temporal bone, okay, and you can see the tympanic the tympanic membrane, sorry about that. Okay, let me erase everything. It's not that easy. Okay, so this is the tympanic membrane. Now malleus is attached to it right here. The structure is located obviously in the middle ear. And when malleus starts to vibrate, incus and stapes also vibrate. So this is the dissection of semicircular canals here, and this is the dissection of the cochlea. Cochlea contains the receptors for hearing. Structure that is labeled B here, it's a tube that connects the middle ear to the throat, and it's pharyngotympanic tube. Pharyngotympanic tube. A semicircular canal that is labeled here, okay, you see semicircular canal, contains sensory receptors that are necessary to detect rotational movements. Okay, so that's semicircular canal rotational movements. Hearing and balance, that's mechanoreceptors because they respond to various mechanical stimuli. Now we didn't have a chance to do that lab clearly, so we're just gonna skip this whole thing. Okay, and we didn't do the sound localization test. We can skip this as well. And yeah, you can read about the eye. You know, you have this review, but I want to focus on some aspects here. The eye anatomy. Let me center the image. So first of all, cornea, okay, is here. That's the structure. Okay, cornea. Okay, then we have sclera. Sclera is the white of an eye, right here. Pupil obviously is the opening in the iris. That's going to be the pupil. And the iris is the muscle that surrounds the pupil. You can see it right here. Ciliary muscles are the muscles that actually suspend the lens. So you can see ciliary muscles. And finally, lens. You can see transparent lens in the left picture. Choroid is the thin layer that supplies blood to the retina. It's that brownish layer that you can see, kind of reddish, darkish, brownish. And retina is the yellow layer. Shown here in the model, that layer is responsible for actually sensing the light. Optic disc is this part. Okay, for a second, just delete all the ink. Okay, doesn't let me, but that's okay. And now anterior cavity is the part of an eye that is in front of the lens, and the vitreous chamber is the part of an eye that is in the back. So that's vitreous chamber. I basically color it. Okay, and that's anterior part. Okay, good. So moving here, sclera, iris, and pupil on the image above. So sclera is that white of an eye. Iris is kind of harder. It's going to be right about here. You see that partially colored circle. And the pupil is that dark opening. So size, diameter of the pupil is adjusted by the muscles of the iris, okay? And when some of the muscles of the iris contract, the pupil becomes narrower, and they relax, it becomes wider. Size of the pupil changes. So when its light increases, amount of light increases, pupil constricts, and when it becomes dark, pupil dilates. Okay. So lens in the cow's eye, so those are lens. Lens in the cow's eye, the retina will be this pearl-like looking layer, and the vitreous jelly is everything that fills up the cow's eye right about here. The function of lens is to refract the eye. They can change the size basically, and they can adjust the image. They can bring it closer or farther. So basically, lens refract the eye. And photoreceptors are located within the retina in the eye. So we didn't have a chance to do the ophthalmoscope. So that's gone. The accommodation test is gone. And we've got to review questions. So photoreceptors. Photoreceptors are receptors for vision. Nociceptors are receptors for pain. Chemoreceptors are receptors for taste and smell, and mechanoreceptors for touch, hearing, and balance. The tympanic membrane here, and the malleus is here. When sound waves enter the ear, tympanic membrane vibrates. So, which structures in the ear contain sensory receptors for hearing? It's cochlea. Okay, sorry about that. cochlea, and sound information is transmitted to the brain via vestibular cochlear nerve. Okay, so sensory receptors for hearing is cochlea, and sound information transmitted to the brain via vestibular cochlear nerve. So here you can see the skin. So this part of the skin, this part is epidermis. This part is dermis. Blood vessels and the majority of sensory receptors. You can see these sensory receptors here. They're located in the dermis. Skin varies in its sensitivity to touch because the density of these sensory receptors is different in different parts of the body. So which structures? We see from A to H there are structures that, well, actually there are no A's, I think, but what are auditory ossicles? So auditory ossicles here are D and E, okay? Receptors for balance are located in semicircular canal, so it makes it G, and structure H is cochlea. And we have a few questions about the eye here. So photoreceptors are located in the retina. Okay. And the optic disc is this little structure. Okay. So in this part of the retina, the optic nerve is found. Sound localization, didn't talk about it. You don't have to worry about this question. Okay, the iris is labeled, well, quite frankly, B is labeled pupil, okay, and the optic disc is F. So it's not really iris, okay. This one is not iris, that's wrong basically. Pupil, it's pupil. And the function of the structure C, it's lens. The lens refracts the eye, allows you to focus on the image. That does it for the lab. Please watch it, fill out the form, and I will make an assignment for you where you can upload the lab so I can grade it.